What's up, Ball? JC3 here, the baller of YouTube, the general. Welcome to Topic Tackle. My take for today is simple yet complex because I believe a lot of you will have varying opinions in the comments down below. Shaq versus Hakeem. Who is better all time? This video has been highly anticipated by many of you and is inspired by the one player that Shaq couldn't intimidate that I uploaded in July. I realized that when I finished that video, I really left it open-ended. Yeah, I acknowledge that Shaq said that Hakeem was the one player that he couldn't intimidate, but I never pronounced who I thought was better all time, and that is exactly what is going down today. So leave a thumbs up on this video and comment your opinion down below, and also I'll add, make sure to hit the notification bell so that all of my uploads show up in your sub box and you don't stumble upon my channel 4 days after this comes out and be like, when did this come out and how come I'm just finding out now? Before I begin to evaluate the overall games of these two players, it is impossible to make a video like this without bringing up player achievements and numbers. Shaq played a total of 20 NBA seasons to Hakeem's 18 and has the advantage in number of All-Star selections, All-Star MVPs, scoring titles, All-NBA teams, and most importantly, rings and finals MVPs. Olajuwon does outnumber Shaq though in number of all defensive teams and Defensive Player of the Year awards. Here are Shaq and Hakeem's three main career stats side by side. It is worthy to note the difference in field goal percentage, which points to Shaq's overall dominance as a player throughout his prime. And speaking to that, what defines dominance in the NBA? Because something that I think we can all agree on is that these two big men were both dominant players during their primes. I mean, Hakeem destroyed David Robinson, who was the MVP in the 1995 Western Conference Finals, and still has many wondering to this date today if Michael Jordan could have beaten him in a finals matchup that never happened. And while Shaq was just physically bigger than seemingly every other big that faced him, yes, even Ben Wallace to all of you out there. But is dominance just something we can attribute to NBA players that are much bigger than everyone else, like LeBron at the 3 or Shaq at the 5? Or can we say that Steph Curry is dominant at his position because he possesses a shot that teams cannot stop him from making? Were Jordan and Kobe dominant because they seemingly knew the game better than their opponents, were one step ahead at all times, and mentally in the opposition's head? Was Kevin Garnett dominant for being able to rattle his defender mentally with his trash talk? How do we define dominance? There is no clear-cut definition, so for that reason, I'm out. No, this ain't Shark Tank. For that reason, even though many consider Shaq the most dominant player to ever play basketball, I'm not using this for Shaq's benefit in this argument. What we can look at though is who the more well-rounded player was, and that to me is simple. Hakeem's arsenal of moves far outweighed Shaq's. He was a better jump shooter and a better dribbler, had more moves, and even though the NBA back then didn't fear the 3-ball as much as today's does, Hakeem was considered a threat at any spot on the floor, and Shaq simply wasn't. Defensively, Hakeem has Shaq beat in major areas, even though he played 2 less seasons than him. 649 more rebounds, 1,098 more blocks, and 1,423 more steals. Dang. That isn't just edging out O'Neal either. That is handily beating the widely accepted most dominant player ever in 3 major categories. We could look at head-to-head matchups, but it's really a moot point because Shaq was only in his 3rd NBA season when his Magic got swept by Hakeem's Rockets in the finals. It is also important to look at what others have said about the two players. Many believe that Shaq would dominate in today's NBA, considering that he climbed the rankings in terms of top centers during the mid-90s against some of the greatest big men to ever step on the court. Michael Jordan said of Hakeem, "It's a good thing that these guys couldn't find their way to the finals because we don't have an answer for the big guy." Most importantly, for this argument, Shaq said of Hakeem,
"He was a guy that I couldn't break."
You knew that from my other video, but still, I have to bring it up now. These two were ultimate competitors. Well, at least in games, because Shaq said in interviews that he didn't give it his all in practice.
In the words of Allen Iverson, we talking about practice. Did I work hard in practice? No, never. I'm not going to get beat up in practice. Then I'm not going to get beat up in the game. So I'll chill in practice and I'll give you my all in the game.
Which is something I don't blame him for. Anyway, two ultimate competitors that would constantly achieve the mental edge over their opponents, and Shaq openly admitted that he couldn't get that edge over Hakeem. It has to be a factor in this argument. The one thing that we won't ever know that would make this argument a lot easier is how a prime Shaq would fare against a prime Hakeem, because Shaq got swept by prime Hakeem in 1995, but that was only his 3rd year, and he still managed to put up great numbers against him in the finals. Looking at their entire careers, yes, Shaq has more accomplishments compared to Hakeem, more rings and everything I listed earlier. At the end of the day though, I'm going with the more well-rounded player that was more offensively versatile, better defensively by the numbers, and mentally possessed the edge over Shaq by Shaq's own admission, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. In today's NBA too, I believe Hakeem would be a bigger threat as well. Unless Shaq is getting the ball in the post every time, he is not a concern from anywhere else on the floor. Hakeem can score from everywhere, and if he played in today's NBA, I'm confident he would be able to develop a consistent three-point shot like DeMarcus Cousins has. Plus, he would make his free throws 71.2% of the time and wouldn't have a strategy named after him such as Hack a Shaq. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Who is the better player of all time, Hakeem or Shaq? Remember to subscribe, like, and leave your feedback in the comments down below, and we'll be back with more Topic Tackle soon. JC3 out.